subscribe.
Hi everybody and welcome back. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. Today is just a really quick video because I'm going to talk to you about what I think is the youngest age for students to start playing instruments. So basically I can talk from my experience when I say I'm talking about the violin, piano, organ and keyboard and things. So if I'll probably just end up focusing on those just because they are my area of expertise there, but I would think that probably what I'm saying would more or less match for any instrument, the flute, the clarinet, oboe, bassoon, anything like that. So in my personal experience, and this is my personal opinion as well, maybe some other teachers out there might disagree, or some of you may have been told very differently with other teachers, but these are my opinions. These are this is coming from my experience as well, and this is my honest opinion with my thoughts on what the youngest age is. So when if I have a student ring me up, or I have a parent ring me up and they want their child to start playing, and they say their child is 5 years old, 5 is probably the youngest age that I would take a student on. There's a couple of reasons for this. 5 tends to be a good age because basically I like students to, or I like the 5-year-old kids to have started school at least. And I don't mean the reception school, I mean actual, going to sort of proper school, whatever that year might be, or whatever that grade that might be in your country, or the equivalent of. But I don't mean sort of reception class or anything like that. I mean actual going to first school, where you start where they start you reading and writing and doing maths and English, all that kind of thing. So I like them to actually be at school because then they're a little bit ahead, or they've started to learn a little bit about the alphabet and a little bit about numbering and counting and all that kind of thing. If the kids are a little bit younger than 5, then I generally find that because of that they haven't quite started school, so they're not quite competent with the alphabet, with doing the alphabet forwards and backwards. I know you only need from A to G in the musical alphabet, we don't need H, I, J, K and all that kind of thing, but even still, going backwards from G to A is sometimes a bit of a struggle for me and some adults and things anyway. So you imagine if we're struggling with it, if we can't just do the alphabet backwards really, really quickly, just like that, then the kids are going to struggle with that as well. And also counting, and that's where your fingers come in as well, and also counting the rhythms. So because they're not at school, they do struggle with that element of music or that side of music as well. Because they're younger than 4, or they're 4 and younger, you find the concentration isn't quite there as well, and it's almost as if a 15-minute lesson would benefit them, but then you can't really push anything into them in 15 minutes. So generally 5, for me, 5 is a really, really good age, and it's extremely rare for me to turn away a student after a first lesson once they're 5 years old. I have done it before when kids have been a little bit younger. They've rung me up and they said, oh, my child is 3.5 or my child is 4, but they're very enthusiastic, and I've said, okay, fine, I've got some time, I'll come and fit you in for a lesson and we'll see how it goes. If not, then you'll have to come back in a year or so's time. So it's a bit of a 50-50 with me for kids younger than 5, but 5, it would be very rare of me to turn anybody away after at the age of 5 and upwards, because they are at a good age there, so they are ready to learn and they can do it as well, and they're not struggling with it and this, that and the other. Having said that, I won't turn away younger kids. If I can fit them in for one kind of trial lesson to see how they go, then I will fit them in. I do have a few success stories with that. It is 50-50. One of my students came to me when he was 3. I was already teaching his brother, who was about 3 years older than him. But he was 3 when he started, and I think he was about 4 or 5 when he took his grade 1 violin. So I will have a go with students, or I will give them one lesson at 3, possibly 4, depending on the circumstances that they've come from, really, because I don't like young kids slipping through the net. I started when I was 4, and my teacher wouldn't normally take kids on until they're 5 or and older. So, but my brothers also played the organ as well, so it probably was a little bit of a different story with me. But I did start when I was 4, which he wouldn't normally have taken on, but again, I'd already had a little bit of help from my brothers and that kind of thing. So I don't like to see the young kids slipping through the net. But Some of them do get on very, very, very well at the age of 3. Some of them just don't. And the ones that don't, I don't know, that's just one of those things, isn't it? But being at school usually helps as well. So I personally won't normally take on a student younger than 5, simply because, you know, I don't want to take the parents' money off of them. I'll be completely honest with you. We won't be able to get much done in the lesson and that kind of thing. And plus, another thing is that the kid really has to be interested. There's no point trying to live through your children as some parents might want to do, you know, just because maybe they've always wanted to play the piano and they try and get their children to play as well, which is a nice thing to do. But, you know, if the child's just not into it, then they're not going to practice and everything. So I don't want to take anyone's money from them and everything. So I will be honest and I will explain to them that I'll fit them in for a lesson if we can, but if they are younger than 5, the chances are that they won't. But, you know, you never know. I always like to give everybody a chance, and if I can take a student on at 3, then that's, I mean, it's like all my Christmases have come at once. It's brilliant for me, or maybe it's sad for me, I don't know. But I personally think it's brilliant that if I've got a child at 3, because it's something you, as a teacher, it's just, you know, just thank you that a kid at 3 is that good already and can pick it up, and you really have something to work towards. Even if you know that in a couple of year times they're actually going to be better than you, it's still worth that trade-off anyway. So I would say for an average, 5 would be a really, really good age, especially if you want your kid to start lessons at school. 5 is a good age as well. And hopefully now you've listened to a few thoughts and opinions and my experience as well. You know, you won't be kind of fobbed off by any teachers that will say, yeah, come on, if, you know, he's 3, that's fine, yeah, we'll take him on. So just be wary of teachers that are all too eager to accept children younger than 5, say 3 or 4. If they're prepared to take them on and say, right, okay, well, they're a bit too young, however, we'll see how it goes, you know, that kind of thing, then that's fine. But if they are a bit too kind of, yeah, I take kids on at 3, yeah, then I would just be a little bit wary, because 3 is a very, very young age to start teaching, because they won't pick up the information. And even though some parents say to me, yes, but my child knows the alphabet backwards and forwards and up and down, then when it comes to actually playing the piano, or when it actually comes to relating that on the violin, trust me, it's a completely different kind of area. And just because they know the alphabet from A to G, when I'm asking them to skip 3 letters forward, go back 5 letters, jump another 2 letters forward, then go back another 3, that's when it gets very, very difficult. Trying to relate finger numbers in different orders when we learn the scales and things on the violin, again, it does get very, very difficult. With the violin, it's an operating thing. So because they're so young, they don't always have that kind of, you know, arm to brain kind of dexterity that you get when you're a little bit older. So for children, I think 9 is a brilliant age to start. 9 is brilliant because they are still young enough to be able to snap all the information up really, really quickly, but they're also old enough that I don't have to speak differently to them. So I don't have to kind of dampen down what I'm saying or the language that I'm using, because they won't sort of understand it. I can have a normal conversation with them and they do understand things that I'm saying, and they've mastered that dexterity, and they're not kind of as awkward as sort of, you know, when you see kids are when they're much younger. So 9 is a spot on, 8 to 9 is a spot on age to start playing, by the way, in my opinion, with students. So anyway, those some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. That's my thoughts, my opinions. Take them on board as you will, or not, whatever. So hopefully this video's been a little bit more insightful to you and helped you, perhaps if you're thinking, I want my child to start, but are they going to be too young or too old, or, you know, whatever it is. So that's that. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
Subscribe.